This is session Preventing the Pornography Plunge. What's the best approach for guarding children's minds and hearts? But with Dr. Dave Currie.
All right. Well, welcome here. I'm excited to be able to share with you this challenging topic. Let me see. First of all, give me a snapshot here. How many are children's pastors, children's workers? Hands? Okay. How many are youth workers type of deal? Okay, got that? Okay, good. Yeah, sometimes there's a difference. How many parents just here visiting and that sort of thing? Good. Okay, that's great. Just a little background about myself, so you understand my world. Just finished 42 years of ministry. Okay. 22 of those years, it was high school, college students. I taught at Briarcliff Bible College 10 years. I was one of the lead pastors at Northview Community Church for 10 years. It's a large church in Abbotsford, about 4,000. What else? I directed Family Life Canada 8 years, and I now, my wife and I lead a ministry called Doing Family Right for the last 9 years. Just in the last 2 years, I've opened a private practice with 9 other counselors underneath me. I'm specializing in the area of sexual addiction. Because I was a straight shooting preacher all these years, and it just has grown. And so I went on and took a whole bunch of training, and now certified with the American Association of Sexual Addiction Therapy. About 1 in 3 couples that comes to see me has to do with sexual addiction. Just yesterday in my office, there were 2 polygraphs done in my office to say, put an end to the lies that are going on in the marriage. I deal with marriages in crisis, okay? I deal with when there's affairs and everything hits the fan. I deal with that and pornography and sexual addiction every day in my practice. My wife and I travel and speak. I do this, from September right through till June. Every second weekend we're traveling and speaking somewhere, sometimes by myself, sometimes my wife and I. We do marriage conferences together. 3 weeks ago we're in San Diego. Come 2 weeks we're going to Winnipeg. So we're just kind of all over the place, right? What you have today is very interesting. As I was approached to do these 2 talks, interesting because I said, well, actually, I write a lot about this already because I help parents, right, with their kids and the battles going on a lot. And so what you have as a handout coming here is you have my articles I've written on these topics. 2012, 2016, 2017, something I just put together for the church, what the church should be doing to address the problem of pornography. I've already done that. And so what I have today is I have an hour with you to go crazy and talk about this problem, and you've got everything you're ever going to need in the handout you're getting. You don't have to take a note. It's all going to be there and it's full. You take notes that seems, that's important for me to remember, because if something triggers you, like you come out of here with your nuggets, that's between you and Jesus. Now, you understand already about how I'm speaking. I speak like 700 words a minute about, gusts to about 1,000, right? Okay? And I really believe, the longer I've been in ministry, this is not an accident you're in this room, me either. Psalm 139 says, before one of my days came to existence, Jesus knew about every day of my life. He knew the same for you, and he knew today our lives would be colliding. And so I put it out on my Facebook. I have over 2,300 people that follow me and pray. And I want you to know there's people praying today for this moment because they know I'm speaking. And so I ask God that he's going to do something great to open your eyes. Because if you as leaders leave here with ideas, a heart, and a conviction to do something different in our churches, it's going to make a huge difference. Does that make sense? You feel my heart already? Yeah, I want you to know something. I'll try to get more pumped, though. We'll see what happens. Okay? Let's pray together, okay? Jesus is for you. It's because of you. It's through you that we're here. I thank you, Lord, for these leaders. I thank you for the privilege it is for me to be here and share with this generation of leaders that's going to come up and just really make a difference, Lord. And Lord, we're talking about a challenging dynamic in our culture that is wreaking havoc across the church and really, really destroying young lives. And so I pray, Lord, that you would give us wisdom as to what to do and how to do it. We love you and we thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen. So grab one. Yeah, perfect. There you go. Good job. So I'm going to just use the different articles as a jumping board to what I want to speak about. All right. So I'll likely maybe do 10 minutes or so on each one and kind of explain from a heart side and a personal side what this is all about. Interesting, this is my first article I started to write about this for parents and Christian leaders, but it's called Indecent Exposure, Winning the Sexual Battle for the Minds and Hearts of the Next Generation. And that could have been the title of today's talk, right? Because it's really how do we deal with this, right? And so I just remember the story. I came down to the kitchen one day, it was a Saturday morning, and my wife was sobbing in the kitchen. I said, honey, what's going on? And she came over, and I was holding her, and she was sobbing, and she, through the tears, she said, Dave, what happens if any of our grandbabies see this? What had happened is that 2 days before, there had been a national broadcast about the effects of pornography from a secular viewpoint, from the Canadian, basically pushed by the Canadian government, saying, look, this is a problem. Now, if the government's saying it's a problem, the church maybe should wake up. I don't know, just a thought. But, you know what I'm saying, right? Just a thought. But anyway, I worked out at a fitness center recently, and a father said, oh, Currie, there was another pastor pedaling beside this other guy who was an elder at the church. He said, Currie, I got to talk to you. You talk to parents all the time. You got to warn them. And basically, his young daughter was given a new iPad from grandparents. Grandparents were heroes, yay. But no one thought about putting any software on it to protect the 11-year-old. She had a friend over, and they suggested, why don't we do a little, hey, SEX, what's going to happen? Little girl, Christian home, beautiful family, Christian home, godly guy, godly wife, and the 11-year-old looks at the very first click of Google search, SEX, right? Okay? You understand that the word porn and the word sex are the top 4 words looked at internationally under Google search. Okay, so you think people are looking. Okay, so this little girl was traumatized by the one thing she saw. Thank God it was not video motion. It was just a still shot of all kinds of different sexual things with graphics that are, this is how a cheerleader likes it. You know, I mean, this kind of garbage, the whole thing, right? So my wife had decided that she was, and seriously, I'm glad I didn't, that I would never see what it's like. You don't need to see what it's like. Okay? So I'm an expert in this, right? I mean, I'm a sexual recovery therapist. I'm a partner recovery therapist. I have women whose husbands are addicted. Right? I have an intensive training where people fly in for 4 days and spend with me 9 hours a day to try to get through the pornography problem. Okay, so I deal with this all the time. I've never in my life looked at pornography online, on a phone. I can tell you the 3 or 4 times we look at porn in magazines going way, way back. But I'll tell you something. I could be an editor of Playboy still. Why? Because our minds are very active. Right? And it's not about I don't need the culture to fill me. And all it does when you get the culture filling you, it just gets worse. And you just go cycle, right? Anyway, before I took the training with the American Association of Sexual Addiction Therapy, which was led by Dr. Doug Weiss, you might have heard that name if you're in the field. Dr. Doug Weiss, a wonderful Christian brother. And before I even took the training, started about 3 years ago, I had already created 168 documents in the area of helping people in pornography. So it's not like I haven't been doing it for some time. I just decided to get the professional designation as a therapist now to take it to the next level. I tell you all this because my wife was just sobbing over what she saw that this little girl had seen, because she recognized it as the same picture that the dad had told me what the girl saw. And she was sobbing over the fact that what would happen if one of our 13 now grandchildren would see this. So behind all this is this passion that we have to say, what do we do to protect our kids from taking the porn plunge? In the last 2 to 3 years, someplace in the area of 35 to 45 different men or couples I'm working with who are battling pornography. Okay? And about 2 to 3 new couples a week are coming to see me with this problem. And almost 100%, I'm confidently can say 9% of the people I'm working with right now, mostly men battling it. I work with women who also struggle with it, but mostly the men I'm working with will tell you that their addiction, now listen, their addiction started sometime between 10 and 12. Stay with me, 10 and 12. Now, these are not all people that are under 30. If they're under 30, they're looking at it online right from the start. But if they're 30 and more, they've been looking at magazines, videos, and DVDs and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's where it started for them. So if most of these people are starting in that venue, now is it easier to look at porn online or get a magazine? online by 500 times, right? So now, think about this. What's going to happen with this young generation? If 90% plus of the people I'm counseling got addicted between 10 and 12, and it was back in the day of magazines and videos and all that kind of stuff, then tell me something, this young generation of 30 and under, right, the millennials, who were completely cyber-suckled right from the start. They've been weaned on internet right from the start. And the accessibility is 500 times more accessible. Matter of fact, I use the word ubiquity. I deliberately put the word in there because you understand the power of the word ubiquity. Ubiquity means simultaneously everywhere. Porn is ubiquitous. That means it is with you all the time. So, here, 80+% of the people I work with, this is where they're looking at their porn. Right there. It's not at home on a computer, it's not an iPad, it's right here. Right? And so now we give our kids at what age? 11, 12. We give them a phone or an iPad that has internet access. You've given them pocket porn. As they walk out of your house with internet access, they can be halfway to school and looking at porn. And you see, parents, we've got to help our parents realize the power of what they're doing. I would not let a pedophile babysit my kids. You say, well, of course not. But we let kids have this. Oh, it's good. I can get some things done. They just like do these. They play these games. Because you know how it goes. Porn comes looking for you. You know how big the porn industry is? Think with me. Some of you, especially with the athletic mind, forgive me if you're not. Major League Baseball, which is, we're in the playoffs now. Major League Basketball, NFL football, and NHL hockey. All the revenue of all of those combined are still eclipsed every year by the porn industry. You just think about Monday Night Football and how big that is. Just think of that. Think of the Super Bowl, how big that is. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, the All-Star games. Think about all the revenue of all the 4 major sports, and porn kicks butt on that every year. And we have no idea how big it is. No idea. And what happens is, we as a church go, we say, well, be careful on lust. Listen, lust existed way back in Job. Job was one of the first books ever written in historical sequence of the Bible. In Job 31, verse 1, he says, I made a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully after a young woman. You see, what happens is, lust is not a new problem. Accessibility is. And that's where the church is missing. See, accessibility is what's screwing us up here. And we are way behind the curve. We are so far behind the curve in the church. We don't talk about it enough. We don't illustrate about it enough. We don't give people help enough. We do the Conquer series for 6 weeks, once every 2 years, and say, there, we help people with porn. You have not. Do you know when people come to me after seeing the Conquer series or anything like that? And they're good. But just because you go to 6 videos and talk a little bit and admit, oh, I have a problem with this, that doesn't get you out of your addiction. It just means you're aware. And then you walk out feeling a little more guilty. Here's the problem with the church when it comes to this whole porn thing. Usually people will come and admit once they struggle with it publicly. If they don't get help, they never come and talk about it again. You understand what's happening? If the church is not ready, when a person serves and says, could somebody help me here? Could somebody help me here? 15-year-old kid, 2 years ago, from Alberta, flew in with his dad. Because the kid was admitted to his dad at 15, Dad, I've been addicted to porn for 3 years. I got to get out of this. This is really screwing me up. Good Christian kid, Christian family. Flies in with his dad, talking to his dad privately. The dad's admitting what? He's struggling with it more than his son. Matter of fact, he's leading a group to help some young men in his church that are struggling with porn, including his son. And what's happening is the dad's looking at porn more often than the boy is. And I said to him, you have a bigger problem than your son. Because you've been in this long into it, all these years into it, and you can't get out of it here as an adult male, let alone being 15. On the unbelievable challenges in the church when it comes to this. And listen, when you hear me here, as I was driving here praying, and I want you to know something. You have everything you need in this handout to make it happen in your church. Okay, so what I'm doing here, and you can feel it, I can feel it already. Because first of all, I got thirsty eyes in this room, and I love that. I love it when you're listening. I love it when I can speak right to your heart. Because as a big brother in the Lord, you have no idea what that does for me. Because I tell you what, I can help you. Because if you're struggling with pornography, there's a way out for you. I'm counseling, let me see, 9, 10 pastors right now. 4 of which are struggling with pornography. Okay? Now listen, we shouldn't go, oh my goodness, how terrible those pastors. What do you mean? Pastors are average people. They just happen to have a calling to try to lead people that way. That doesn't mean they are never tempted. And you see right now in the church, things have gone so sideways with influencing our kids in a healthy way that the average youth group boy, 41%, according to a documentary that came out in 2016, put up by the Josh McDowell Ministry in cooperation with Covenant Eyes. I was at the Set Free Summit in North Carolina with 900 people from all over the world coming together to discuss what we need to do to change things in the church to help with this problem. Now we're talking about children and youth. And what do we need to do? Covenant Eyes in their research has maintained that the average age of little boys who are running into pornography is 9.5. All my years when I trained about teaching your kids about sex, I said it had to be by age 11. Why by age 11? Because across the prairies where I've ministered my whole life, grade 5 is when they had the sex education class in school, right? You have this and then you get a note, okay, in the next 2 weeks we're going to be talking, so okay, that my kid can be here, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, so I wanted the parents to talk to the kids before the teacher did, even if it might be credible and a solid source. I wanted them to have your spin, your take on it, God's take on it before someone else tells them. So it was always by age 11. Last 3 years now, are you kidding me? Because it's not the school anymore in grade 5 that are telling kids about sex. Are you kidding me? It's the internet. You can see everything, and because we're not protecting our kids, we don't have Covenant Eyes on our phones, we don't have some kind of software to protect them, whether it's kids' Wi-Fi or Disney Circle or whatever, that's going to protect and warn us what's going on. And by the way, leaders in the church, you've got to teach people how to get these software things in their homes to protect kids. Because I'm telling you, the stuff that I'm seeing, it's happening in the homes of Christian people. Because I didn't know that. Oh, I can't believe my son's looking at that. If you're coaching a parent who finds, because I got an article on this, it's not in this package, but we got a whole podcast. I think there's 19 different podcasts about recovery in porn on our website. Listening to 35, 40 minutes of audio talk about how to get out of different things. But I'll tell you, what do you do if you find out that your kid, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old has been looking at porn? I know what I've said. The very first thing parents need to say to their kids is, I'm sorry. I have failed you. I have failed you. Because as a dad, I should be coaching you of the dangers. I should be protecting you from this. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. There's a biological surge in all of us that God creates around puberty. And we have this amazing interest that comes. And God put it there because what He wants is there to be a longevity of closeness between husband and wife that lasts a lifetime. It's an amazing, powerful thing. But what happens is people get pulled into pornography because the coercion is there, because the draw is there. We have what's called the PMO cycle, porn, masturbation, orgasm. Okay? And so what happens is, if that PMO cycle is triggered over and over again, at age 12, at 13, 14, and not just once a week. Okay, now, I mean, I don't need to tell you how expressive people get with their acting out with masturbation and all, but what happens, picture this, and think with me in the neurological science area. Boy, I'm giving you a lot here. Hang on, this is coming. I can just, okay, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's called neurological pathways, okay? So what happens is, when I do self-stimulation, whatever my eyes are paired to, that becomes a neurological pathway. So I'm looking at porn, masturbation happens, looking at porn, and there's now a lineal, direct relationship, a neurological pathway between porn, masturbation, orgasm, so powerful that it's actually more addicting than cocaine. They've proven this already. Okay, so now the danger is it gets so addicting, and the problem is I'm addicted to the porn. And so what happens is, before a person even gets to age 20, sex in their head is, look at this, do this, look at this, do this. It's not about a mutuality thing. It's not about other people. It's not about love, because it's all about me. It's all self-centered. It's all about me. My needs. I'm the hero. They meet my needs. It's all about me over and over and over and over and over again. A minor estimate with some of the people I worked with, a minor estimate for those that are addicted from 10, 11, and I talked to them at 26, is that they likely had 6,000 to 8,000 different times they've looked at pornography and masturbated. Now that's a neurological pathway that is huge. And now they go to get married. And they wonder why they're not as attracted to their wife. But matter of fact, there's stories already. My mentor out of Colorado has stories, and I'm telling you, I've seen it, where already men in their 20s have erectile dysfunction because they can't have sex with a real person because the neurological pathway is, what the heck is this? Oh, no. This, this is sex, yeah. One guy in southern Alberta, counseling with him after a weekend I'm speaking, and he came to me and we talked to him and his wife. They're having a huge problem with his porn addiction. He said this, 1.5 years in, if you saw his wife, guys, be honest, she would turn your head. It's not about she's not pretty. By the way, girls, if your husband's throwing pornography, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. If you were pretty enough, tall enough, short enough, small enough, bigger here, there, don't go there in your heads. At the end of November, I do an psychoeducational seminar for women whose husbands are addicted. All Friday evening and all day Saturday. With the whole purpose of helping women get it out of their head that it's not their problem, what they can do to stand by their man in spite of this. Okay, so here's the deal. This neurological pathway is so strong that we have to, the beautiful thing that God has allowed is the brain is the only part of the mind or the only part of the body that has what's called plasticity. Okay, so that is really good news. Okay, the rest of our body, my heart is static, my kidneys are static, you know what I mean? But the brain can actually shift. So if you picture this, if this podium to the back door is the neurological pathway, you understand? This here is the pathway in your brain. What happens is if you put a roadblock here, okay, so that you can't go there, okay, and so when there's intimacy going to start, you can't go here because that's not allowed. You have to start building healthy intimacy with your spouse, right? Okay, so what happens is you've got to cut off this pathway, but pretty soon over time, this God-honoring pathway over here to something different becomes the strong one. But it takes some time. So you know, the first hurdle is get 3 months. Because what happens is you're going to be bumping against this barricade all the time, trying to get down the neurological pathway that's been going, that's all you know. Your brain just knows one thing, this is sex. And now as a young married couple, all the hurdles that they're having because, of course, not only is it this is what porn is, or this is what sex is because of the porn, but he's seen everything under the sun. In some cases, she has too. So now we have all kinds of problems. They don't even know what healthy sex is. Because it's all tainted by, I've looked at this, and this. And of course, there's no innocence. There's no creativity left because you've seen everything. So all the mystery and magic that God intended to happen over the years. Look, you're going to look at a man who's 44 years married. Okay? 44 years married to the same beautiful woman I met in high school. And I've only had sex with one person my whole life. And I'm 44, 63, or whatever I am now, and I'm having great sex with my wife still. Because you know what? We haven't shared it with nobody else. I haven't seen junk. Nothing to compare with. You know what's gorgeous? My wife. Do you understand? That's what God intended. But we're losing this before they even get out of elementary, middle school. And this is where you and I, as leaders of the church, got to say, oh, I got to help parents, and I got to speak as a youth pastor. I got to speak as a children's director. I got to create a lesson to talk about what do I do. Okay. So, anything I need to say about this one? So this one here is wake up to the dangers you see there on the second page of this indecent exposure. Get safeguards in place. We have some suggestions of that coming. Have preteen sex talks earlier. I said that. Remember, age 9. And by the way, age 9, the next one I'm going to do is about talking to tweeners and kids about sex and dating, right? That's the next one I'm going to do. But we have 7 podcasts on how to do the sex stuff. We talked about it. right? And you know, at age 9, you might not. One of the podcasts is the top 40 things you need to talk to kids about sex. The top 40, not the top 3, right? And so there's an article about that too off our website, doingfamilyright.com. So delay the gadgets a little bit. Wise. When I do the thing about digital delirium, I know someone else is doing that this weekend about just balancing, you know, technology and that whole phone and when you give a kid a phone and an iPad and all that. I argue, and call me crazy, call me old, but remember, I see things that most people don't. But I argue that complete free reign of the phone with my own device that has internet connection, you know, a data package, should not happen until age 16 when it's completely mine. That it has to be varied. At 12, I own the phone, you get to use my phone. At 14, we share the phone, but I kind of still control it. At 16, I give you freedom now to have your own phone, because we've walked this through. You've learned everything you need to know. So just like with driving a car, which, by the way, parents say to me, because they say, oh my goodness, you understand, my kid's so mature. You know what? Your kid is seeing stuff. That's why they're so mature. They're seeing stuff they shouldn't be seeing. Okay, but here's what happens. Parents already say, well, listen, we already given our kids phones at 12. I said, what are we going to do? I said, well, you make a decision. You know, get some software on there, get some coaching going, and you know, and these parents that don't have any software in the house, they don't have any protection going, and just to keep the kids from going places, they don't have even an opportunity to, especially in the first years before they get 16, to see what they're going to and having reports of what they're looking at. And you can do all this today. You can see what and by the way, if you want, you can just say it. But if you don't do it early enough, but you can say this. If you like to have use of the family phone, because it's a graduated system that we want to give them, not everybody gets it when they're whining because their friends have it at school. Okay? All right. I'm going to go to the next article. Go to the next one called Pornified. Okay? And this is 5 facts that we must tell the next generation. I was flying up to Fort St. John. I was doing a marriage event there, and on the way up there, I wrote this article on Pornified. I had just come back from the Set Free Summit with 900 of us for 4 days. It was unbelievably download and really impacting and interesting. You see there this particular Time magazine issue. Now, remember, Time magazine is liberal. Time magazine is not Christian. Liberal means it's open to anything as opposed to more conservative. You understand? So I'm telling you, a liberal, non-Christian magazine puts this out 2 years ago. Porn. Why young men who grew up with internet porn are becoming advocates for turning it off. This is not a Christian thing. But they're warning people, basically, because of the dysfunctionality that happens, that people in their 20s are getting ED, erectile dysfunction, can't even have sex with a 3-dimensional person. And so there's websites in the U.S. already, or at least they're based out of the U.S., obviously they're accessible to us, but they're based out of the U.S. where it's people who are not Christians in their 20s telling their generation, get off porn! It screws up your sex life. So what happens is, I was going up to Fort St. John to do a citywide youth event to talk about what porn is doing to your future sex life in marriage. I just come from Set Free Summit. Literally 2 days before going up there, that came out. I'm seriously fired up that we need to do something. Because remember, if a liberal non-Christian magazine is warning, maybe we should. I don't know. Or we could wait another 10 years and lose another generation of kids. Yeah. So I remember I said halfway down there it says lust isn't new but access is. That's the big thing. The accessibility is what's killing things. That's why I use the word ubiquitous, right? It's all the time, it's there. You know, back in the day, in previous generations, it was kind of over here, by here, behind the counter, or adult only. You can't do it unless you're 18. You know, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, the problem with the internet, there is zero control. No limits. Turn on a TV. TV can't have words, S words going, F-bombs flying. They can allow them after 9 o'clock at night, certain level of nudity you can't watch until after a certain time. There is the Radio and Television Commission of Canada that has all kinds of guidelines to protect children, and you know what I'm saying? The radio and like on the radio, that's why if you know about radio, it's a 7-second delay. Because if someone throws a word that is not allowed, boop, they got 7 seconds to put a beep over that word before it comes out. You understand that? Okay, so that's all regulated. The internet is not regulated in any way. Not regulated in any way. There is no justice, no morality that says, whatever you do, don't let kids see this. There's nothing. And you've got to understand, we would be all upset. Oh, I can't believe they showed that at 7 o'clock at night when kids could be seeing it. Just because it happened to be in your home and you kind of walk by and, what are you guys doing watching that? That's no good. Then you're mad that, someone shouldn't be showing that at 7:30 at night or whatever. You understand? But now the internet. All the time, anything to any audience, no restrictions, no place in the world with the internet. Now, that should give you the heebie-jeebies. So, there's some great stats here. When we went down to the Set Free Summit, you see the porn phenomenon. That was the book that came out, putting all the research together. Barna Research out of California, you're familiar with them, a credible Christian company that does hard research. They worked together with the Josh McDowell Ministry in Covenant Eyes and did this research. We were given that research, that book, as part of the conference, and there's a whole bunch of, and I put some of the main details that should shake us a little bit there, and I won't go into those. Let's go to the back page, the third page. There's 5 things you need to tell millennials, okay? And this is children, grandkids, nieces, nephews, pupils, Sunday school classes, youth groups, and more. But here's the things that I'm telling you from my world, my work, my experience, my research, we've got to tell kids. And by the way, this is available on the website, doingfamilyright.com. You can actually go on that place and share it. It'll go to your Facebook, and you can put it out there to help a lot of people. You can even refer to it in a newsletter to your church, to your parents, about, listen, what we need to do here. And it'll give them the very thing I'm talking about in these 3.5 pages. So here's the summary. The facts that they got to understand. This is what you got to tell millennials. Porn kills love. Because porn is all selfish. It's all about me. It's getting it for me. It's all about me. It doesn't really develop an other-centered, focused love that God intended. When Paul in Romans, reflecting on his teaching, what he learned from Jesus or through the other disciples to him, it's better to give than to receive. That is true in all things of life, including sexuality in your marriage. You see, because if you become a giving spouse, you'll have a great marriage. But what happens is porn is all about me, my time, my agenda, my needs, instant me, all about my issues, and it's not about learning to love. And what happens is the longer you're in porn, the more you've objectified the person that you're having sex with in your mind. But of course, your mind doesn't differentiate between reality and what's in my mind. You understand that? Your brain is not this real, if I punched you in the shoulders and, touched you and whatever. The brain, that could be all in my mind. And the brain thinks it's real. So what happens is, we have this ongoing problem with the people getting less and less able to love because it's so self-centered, it's taking advantage of people. And so even when they're married now, because remember, that's what I'm counseling all the time, is I have, most of the time it's husbands, but sometimes it's both. But most of the time it's the husbands who got addicted. Why? Because men are visually stimulated, and they get drawn into this quicker, more so than women. But just so you know, about 20 to 25% of women are visually stimulated like a man is. So sometimes we have women in our conferences come forward, what's wrong with me? I want to have sex more often than a man. I said, I'm sorry that the stereotype has messed you up. But there's nothing wrong with you having a high sex drive. Just enjoy it and just get over the fact that when I say this now, I always talk about, the 2/3, 1/3 thing, that it's not always men who want the more sex. Matter of fact, the more men have got into pornography, they're going to actually want less sex. Why? Because they go back to what they know. I told you about the couple in, I didn't finish the story, but I told you about the couple in southern Alberta. I was counseling. Remember, good-looking young bride, year and a half married. He told me privately, he says, actually, he says, Currie, he says, our sex life is really boring. It's really pain, and I'd rather just go back to pornography and masturbate. Church kids got addicted in 10 to 12 range. No one talked about it. No one helped them. They give this general warning, well, you know, guys, don't get into porn. That's dangerous stuff. Well, that's going to help a lot of people. So, number 2 is porn erodes your values. The research that we got, and I should have brought the book, but you know, the book there, the porn phenomenon, the research. But the longer people get into porn, the more they normalize it. They actually go to the point that they affirm it. And within one generation, so there's those that are 11 to 24, and those that are 25 to 40. They don't even research. Well, they have a little bit, but the point is this: in that one generation difference, the swing to making porn acceptable has swinged 22% swing. Most issues in our culture in one generation will slide maybe 2 to 5%. The porn agreeableness of porn in one generation, because of accessibility, because it's become normative, because it's talked about, laughed about, did you see this one and all that, right? What happens is that it's okay to the younger generation that you're working with, the college, high school, and down group. Right now in the church, the swing in one generation was 22% change. Listen, and I've been following the sociology of the family for 4 decades. That swing does not happen without us having a significant crisis going on in our world related to something that is really complicated. So, their values get eroded. Number 3, porn neuters young men. I've talked about that a lot. You understand, if a secular magazine is saying it's going to wreck your sex life, maybe we should be doing this. When I travel and speak, this is great. I was speaking in the Maritimes. It was a really fun event because I was the main speaker, and then we did a breakout where I taught all the men. This is about 1,600 youth in the Maritimes, and my daughter came along from this church, Jody Wanzura. Jody came with me, and she spoke to all the women. And it was really cool because we talked, what are you going to tell the guys, Dad? What are you going to tell the girls? We talked, make sure it was all complimentary. And there I was speaking to 800 guys, and she was speaking to 800 young women, okay? All high school kids. And it was really a fun experience. But remember, I'm in this auditorium, kind of a theater with sloping seats, and I said to these 800 high school, few college kids, I said, how many of you want a great sex life after you're married? Now, maybe you didn't hear me. How many of you, and you can see how I speak, I'm pretty direct. How many of you want a great sex life after you're married? Silence, and I hear way at the back. I do. I said, you come up, I want to meet you, and all this kind of thing, right? But I said, you all should be saying, I do. Because that's what's biblical. God created all these good things for us to enjoy. Now think about it. He gave us taste buds, so He knows we need to eat. So He makes eating what? Enjoyable. He knows we need to drink. So when you're thirsty and you drink something, oh, it just was so, you remember? Does not it refresh you when you're thirsty and you drink? Okay? And guess what? Sleep. Oh, man, I just got to crash. Right? He makes sleeping feel good because our bodies need it. Why would He create taste buds? Why would He even look the beauty? I took pictures today of the fall colors in the mountainside where I was. Why, it's so beautiful. He gives us these things to enjoy. And then He creates sexuality designed to be dynamic and powerful to draw us back to something just like eating and drinking and sleeping. Because it's one of the core needs. But what does the enemy do? Anything that God creates good, the enemy tries to pervert. Take food. People go, I've counseled anorexics. I've counseled people with eating disorders of, bulimia, right? I counsel where people are in crazy fitness crazes that are unhealthy, and people who've given up and just let it all go. I want you to know something. Anything that God creates good, the enemy tries to pervert. Think it's not happy with sex too? Anytime a little kid gets abused as a child, I've counseled just shy of 300 people who are sexually abused as a kid, as a child. Adult victims of childhood sexual abuse. I want you to know something. There's a violated or damaged love map when that little person gets sexually abused. And so what happens is, there's so many ways, either saying, oh, no sex, it's bad, and men are just beasts, because that person was a beast who hurt you when you were 5. By the way, it's a personal story which we've shared in this church at a marriage conference. My wife was sexually abused by her grandfather for 5 years. So we know personally the damaged love map story. So you understand that anything God creates good, the enemy's trying to pervert. Either no, don't do this, it's bad, or just do it with anybody because it doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Pushes to the extremes. Porn is one of those extremes. You see, it's not that sex isn't good. I tell young people as often as I can, remember, God created sex, and He wants your future sex life and marriage to be awesome. God created it. And He wants your future sex life to be awesome. That's why He gives these cautions and these warnings. But the church is guilty of saying, no, don't go, stay away. And I grew up in a very, 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 very conservative church. And of course, you weren't allowed to ever have sex with a girl because it might lead to dancing. If you see what I'm saying, how conservative and how messed up it was, you couldn't have velvet on pants. You couldn't have your hair touching your ears because you were a long-haired freak, because I was in the hippie thing and all that, You know what I'm saying? Like the church was really messed up and pushing the wrong things. But here we have a generation going to hell in a handbasket when it comes to pornography, and we're kind of doing this. I had one parent come to me and say, oh, I can't believe my son, we caught him. He's been looking at porn on the computer. I said, have you ever talked about porn? I said, what do you mean? Have you actually used the word pornography and talked to your son about pornography? Well, no, but we've talked about what's right and wrong. He should know. I got angry. He should know. That's parenting. Some of you know the great school, Pacific Academy over here, where my daughter and son-in-law teach. And I've done the whole parenting series, which I do there. And when I was doing the sex talk night, there was about 160 to 70 parents there, middle school parents. And I asked this question. How many of you sitting here today did one of your parents give your sex talk? I want you to raise your hand and keep it raised. 160 to 70 people. How many hands do you think were raised? This is 2.5 years ago. 11 hands raised, and one was my daughter Jody, who was sitting at the back. You understand? Now, this is kind of the next talk a little bit, but it's all about porn because they're mixing together. But understand, if all those middle school parents had nobody tell them about healthy balance, then they didn't hear anything about porn either, did they? Because they never had a sex talk. If whatever, 155 of the 165 never had a sex talk, no one talked about porn either. So they're not really, oh, I know what to do. I need to do this with my kids because my dad did this with me. Yeah.
Have you heard about the picture fan picture?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's great. Listen, there's a lot of good things. A passport to purity, there's all kinds of different things. Here's the problem. Doesn't matter what's available. The church is not doing it. My prayer is that you would get far enough to say, well, in our church, we're going to talk about it. In our church, we're going to coach parents. In our church, we're going to help people to deal with this. And remember, the difference is, I said it clearly in this article we're talking about here, it's not, remember, lust isn't new, but accessibility is. You see, there's the difference. Lust goes back forever. But accessibility is unbelievably different, because it's not just looking at the centerfold of a Playboy, which, by the way, is called soft porn. Matter of fact, people don't even look at it on the line anymore, because now you can have the video version of it. You can see everything happening. You see every permutation of sexuality under the sun. Porn distorts young women. See, porn has become more of a girl's issue too, because the longer porn has been normalized amongst the young men, the girls start to look at it to see what young men are looking at. Then they start thinking, oh, I guess this is what I have to be pursued by a boy. So pursuing a relationship is basically designed, I have to be a certain sexual, so You can go online and look at how to do duck lip pictures for the Kardashian coach. Right? And all the different selfies. There's a documentary coming out, when is it? I can't. I'm one of the guest expert at a documentary coming out called Selfless. And it's trying to teach young women from 10 to 14 why they should do selfies less and how they should realize that whether or not someone clicks like, don't base your self-worth on that. Base your worth on something different. Okay? There's going to be a version for the church. There's going to be a version for national TV logo. And venture actually born out of the hearts of two people out of Abbotsford, and I was thrilled to be part of it. But what happens is women start to believe they have to do this, this, and this to be loved and make guys love them, and that messes up the women. And of course, it robs your innocence. And this is so hard to explain, but you see, if a couple came together as novices or beginners when they got married, you see that everything they would do, like holding babies, oh, this is cool, right? But if you've seen everything under the sun before you even got married, and you might have slept around with quite a variety of people before you got married, the whole thing starts with I have these expectations, and not only that, I've looked at this, and it's too bad you're not that. And you know, it's start from the start. You haven't even had your honeymoon sleep, and you're already off in the hole. So, yeah, there's 3 challenges I leave you on the back page of that one. Link to this on Facebook, this article. Let other people read it. Tell at least one person under 20, hopefully as leaders more than that. There's a really easy fightthenewdrug.org. I don't know if you've seen that particular one, but it's designed for young people. It is not overtly Christian, but lines up with all our values. But they're trying to help people outside of the church. Okay? The 2 young men who started Fight the New Drug. The new drug is sex, right? Okay? Fight the New Drug. They were there. They spoke at this summit. And I got a chance to be in a seminar with the 2 of them. And incredible young men and a good approach. Anyway, get your pastor to preach on it. Let's go to the third one. Oh boy, I have to be done in now, pretty quick. Okay, so let me tell you what else we got here. Naked pictures. This is designed because this is what's happening. Based on the fact that the average little kid is looking at porn someplace around 9.5, 10. But I want you to know something. We have evidence just within us here in the Fraser Valley. Our parents come to us and say, what do? I caught my 7.5-year-old looking at porn. One little kid was found and was getting up in the middle of the night and looking at porn without his mom and dad knowing. And they finally caught him and tracked and realized this was going on. 7.5. You understand, and this is the case I make here, with how much parents trust their phones and iPads to their kids to play and entertain themselves, that the longer they're doing that at 2, 3, 4, and 5, they become entitled to it. They want it. There's big fights over it. Read this article, because what I'm saying here is we need to prepare our 2 to 5-year-olds, our 4 to 7-year-olds of running into naked pictures. I use naked pictures, not porn, because they don't know porn. The word isn't in their head yet. But they know naked pictures because, oh, get your clothes on, you're naked running around after the bath. You know, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, that's human. That's life. So they understand naked. So what you're going to see is naked pictures. I actually give you how to talk it through with the child. So you could take this article and you could create a lesson plan, make sure your parents approve in your church, but this is what I want you to do, parents. I'm going to teach this part and play this, and I want you to do the other part. I didn't put this article up for a little while, just a year ago. I put this up. But my wife and I were arguing about one part of it. And we were arguing about number 8 on the last page, their parent decisions. And I said, look, I think that this game that we're going to play is that there's bad people trying to sneak these naked pictures on our computers and phones and everything. So if you ever find one, you come and tell mom and dad, because we're going to try to catch these bad people trying to sneak this in. Okay? So it becomes a bit of a game like. Now, as they get, 6, 7, 8, and if you do a reward thing, they can start thinking, boy, if I find something, I get this reward. So as they get older, maybe change it, but the kids that are, we can still fool them, okay? I still maintain that because you know what? You can click on things, and it's an innocent thing you click on, and it's already got porn. And you try to get out of it, and it just goes more and more and more. That happens all the time. Why? Because they're trying to get people addicted to porn, because they make a lot of money. This one here, Stemming the Tides of Porn's Influence in the Church. Okay, this article, it even has suggestions down there of what you can do as a children's pastor. This is basically, this would be a comprehensive church plan right here. And Northview, where I used to pastor, is a large church of 4,000. I taught this at Northview what they should do. This last one here, sorry?
We didn't have that up.
It was all part of it.
No, we didn't get that. It's on the app.
Yeah, it's on the app. They're all on the app. But I'm sorry. It was they were all supposed to be there. The last one, did you get the one, the best parental controls?
Naked pictures is the last thing we got.
Naked pictures, the last thing?
Yeah.
They didn't even finish the naked pictures. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it. You can go to the website for Elevate, and you can download, and it's all there in its entirety. If ever in question, you can go to our website and just request the handouts from Dr. Dave and my assistant Tammy. We'll send them to you, and you'll have an electronic copy of it. You can get that downloaded there as well. What do you think, people? It's a big job. Yeah. You know what the most important thing is? First of all, we get more verbal. But likely the most important thing is if you're battling with porn or you're battling with your spouse in porn right now, that you break the silence and get help yourself. We cannot help people where we're not dealing with it ourselves.
There are groups at CLA here.
Yeah.
My son's a person.
Yeah. So there's groups CLA, there's groups out of our ministry there. We have 2 men's groups that meet Tuesday and Thursday nights. And if there's women in your area in the Fraser Valley that spouses are addicted, we're doing a psychoeducational seminar called Purge, just helping women deal with their spouse's addiction to pornography and sexual addiction. Okay? So yeah.
Do you have podcasts on it?
What's that?
Podcasts?
Yeah, the podcasts are doingfamilyright.com. Just look under resources podcast, and I believe we have 19 about recovery. And matter of fact, the question of what do you do if you run into, like, you're going to have a parent who say, oh my goodness, Pastor, I found my 11-year-old looking at porn. Just before that happens, listen to the podcast of what you do if you find that your kid's looking at porn. Some parents are going to say that to you, right? And by the way, I'll do the next stop, and then I'll quit now to give you a 5-minute break, but I'm already counseling families where the little girls have sent selfies, right? Nude selfies under coercion of their. I'm working, and first of all, you hear about it, right? But remember, I'm Fraser Valley, although I counsel through FaceTime and Skype all over Canada and stuff. But one that I worked with was out of Regina recently, and another one just out of the valley here. But the little girl in grade 9 was coerced by 3 grade 9 boys to kind of send a picture of herself naked, and after 3 or 4 nights of encouraging, come on, it's not going to hurt, And not only did she give in and send a picture of herself naked to these boys, but they passed it around their friends, and within 72 hours, the 9-year-old's naked picture was on a major porn website. 72 hours, same naked picture of a little girl, which is illegal, by the way, it's child porn. So the police were all involved, the principal and counselor were all involved, and I ended up being the one trying to help put this back together as a therapist, right? I know it's so hard on a little girl to try to retract that, because she walks into school and people are doing this and all that, right? And this is it. Yeah, 80% to 90% of people I counsel are Christian people. So you understand that this is good Christian people from a good church in the valley that this happened to their daughter. I don't think they talk clear enough. So yeah, but that'll be part of the next session. Let me pray, okay? Jesus, I just pray that my brothers and sisters would be motivated to have courage to speak out, to teach, to make a difference in this challenging issue in our culture. Give them courage, we pray. Lord, especially give them courage if they're battling the mares in their life with the issue, that they would break the silence before midnight tonight. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Thanks for listening. The next one started at 3 or 4. And I'm available for questions, so if you want anything, come and ask. Yes, I will.
You were, okay. That's okay, yeah, 'cause I was at that one.